the south wall, the two thus fairly sitting back to back. Is this well? Be it put to any man who has a proper fraternal feeling, has it not a sort of sulky appearance? But very probably this style of chimney building originated with some architect afflicted with a quarrelsome family. Then again, almost every modern place has its separate flue, separate throughout from hearth to chimney top. At least such an arrangement is deemed desirable. Does not this look egotistical, selfish? But still more, all these separate flues, instead of having independent masonry establishments of their own, or instead of being grouped together in one federal stock in the middle of the house, instead of this, I say, each flue is surreptitiously honeycombed into the walls, so that these last are here and there, or indeed almost everywhere, treacherously hollow and, in consequence, more or less weak. Of course, the main reason of this style of chimney building is to economize room. In cities where lots are sold by the inch, small space is to spare for a chimney constructed on magnanimous principles. And as with most thin men, who are generally tall, so such with houses. What is lacking in breadth must be made up in height. This remark holds true even with regard to many very stylish abodes, built by the most stylish of gentlemen. And yet when that stylish gentleman, Louis le Grand of France, would build a palace for his lady friend, Madame de Maintenon, he built it but 1 story high, in fact, in the cottage style. But then, how uncommonly quadrangular, spacious, and broad, horizontal acres, not vertical ones. Such is the palace, which, in all its 1-story magnificence of Languedoc marble, in the garden of Versailles, still remains to this day. Any man can build a square foot of land and plant a liberty pole on it, but it takes a king to set apart whole acres for a grand Trianon. But nowadays it is different, and furthermore, what originated in a necessity has been mounted into a vaunt. In towns there is large rivalry in building tall houses. If one gentleman builds his house 4 stories high, and another gentleman comes next door and builds 5 stories high, then the former, not to be looked down upon that way, immediately sends for his architect and claps a 5th and a 6th story on top of his previous 4. And not till the gentleman has achieved his aspiration, not till he has stolen over by the way of twilight and observed how his 6th story soars beyond his neighbor's 5th, not till then does he retire to his rest with satisfaction. Such folks, it seems to me, need mountains for neighbors to take this emulous conceit of soaring out of them. If considering that mine is a very wide house, and by no means lofty, aught in the above may appear like interested pleading, as if I did but fold myself about in the cloak of a general proposition, cunningly to tickle my individual vanity beneath it, such misconception must vanish upon my frankly conceding that land adjoining my alder swamp was sold last month for $10 an acre, and that a rash purchase at that. So that for wide houses hereabouts there is plenty of room, and cheap, indeed so cheap, dirt cheap, is the soil, that our elms thrust out their roots in it, and hang their great boughs over it, in the most lavish and reckless way. Almost all our crops, too, are sown broadcast, even peas and turnips. A farmer among us, who should go about his 20-acre field, poking his finger into it here and there, and dropping down a mustard seed, would be thought a penurious, narrow-minded husbandman. The dandelions in the river meadows, and the forget-me-nots along the mountain roads, you see at once they are put to no economy in space. Some seasons, too, our rye comes up here and there a spear, sole and single like a church spire. It doesn't care to crowd itself, for it knows there is such a deal of room. The world is wide, the world is all before us, says the rye. Weeds, too. It is amazing how they spread. No such thing as arresting them. Some of our pastures being a sort of Alsatia for the weeds. As for the grass, every spring it is like Kossuth's rising of what he calls the people. Mountains, too, a regular camp meeting them. For the same reason, the same all-sufficiency of room, our shadows march and countermarch, going through their various drills and masterly evolutions, like the old Imperial Guard on the Champ de Mars. As for the hills, especially where the roads cross them,